welcome back to Belinda's Book Cafe. It's been a while since I did a bookish video. I have my friend here, Courtney. She's from Journal with Court, and we both love reading. We met through reading, and we thought it'd be fun to just talk about some of the books that we just read, because I have been reading again. Yay! Yes! Okay, but first, since it's Belinda's Book Cafe, we gotta make a drink. Today we're gonna make some strawberry milk. Super easy, except I already made the strawberry syrup. So if you want to learn how to make strawberry syrup, it's basically strawberries and you cook it on the stove. After you chop it up, you mash it, put it on the stove, and add a little bit of water, add some sugar or honey, whatever your sweetener is, and then you boil it, and then you simmer it for like 10-15 minutes after it, and then that's it. If you watch my vlog, I make it in my vlog, so I'll just link that if you want to see it. Anyways, so let's get started. We're gonna make some strawberry milk. You can use whatever milk you like. I drink soy milk, so that's what we have here. And we have our nice glass. So what you do first is just put your strawberry in your glass. See, I used to measure it. Like, I used to put it on the scale to try to make a recipe, but
as you get older,
as you get used to it. So I'm gonna put about 5 or 6 spoons of strawberry.
Heaping spoonfuls.
And I'd say this is about a teaspoon. Spoon. You know, the thing is, Belinda's home cafe is you make the drinks how you want. So this is actually, like, because I don't put a lot of sugar in, I don't even count how many of these are, but 1 more scoop. Here you go. Now Courtney can add it. So I don't actually, like, put a lot of sweetener in mine, so it's not going to be that sweet. That's it.
That's good though.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you make drinks, there's a lot of just sugar in it. When you buy drinks at your cafe, there's usually just like a lot of sugar in it.
Yes.
So, and I prefer my drinks to not be that sweet, because if I drink something that's really sweet, it usually makes my throat hurt.
Ah, that's okay.
There we go. Alright, so now we're gonna add ice. You don't have to add all of it. I like it more.
Okay, I was like, this container is huge. It's a lot of ice.
But when you put the ice in there, it doesn't look like a lot.
A casualty. Okay. I'll do a little bit more. One more.
I'll have to put the rest in mine.
Oh, yes, there you go. Perfect.
And now you add milk. So, yeah, you gotta shake it first. That's probably gonna be fun. So I'll just put it in.
Shake it. Yeah. Whoa. It's new.
A lot of shaking. Just pour it in. That's it. Ta-da. Now we can stir it.
Yeah. Oh, it looks so good.
And it basically just tastes like strawberry and milk. Now that we finished making our drinks, we're gonna talk about books, and I'm gonna go first. One of the books that I read in September was this book, Darius the Great Deserves Better, and I really loved it. Darius the Great Is Not Okay is one of my favorite books from last year, and when I found out that there was gonna be a sequel, I was so happy and excited to read this. So yeah, and I'm glad that it turned out to be really good. The first book, Darius goes to Iran to go see his grandparents. His grandpa has, I think, like a brain tumor or something like that, and so they go to visit him. And so in this book, they've come back and he's going to school. He now has his first boyfriend, which is super exciting. And he has joined the soccer team at school, and all his teammates are super supportive, and we love that. It's just like him going through, I think it's his junior year, and just kind of figuring things out, like getting his first job and having his first boyfriend, and now that he's starting to become more friends with people at school, and also keeping in touch with his friend from Iran. And yeah, it was just a great book. I love it. It is fantastic. You should read it.
One of the books that I read super recently is called Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. And I really enjoyed this one. So it is about this girl named Prudence, and she is a try-hard in high school. She's very annoying a little bit, but she is kind of that stereotypical like super smart girl, super hardworking, and her arch nemesis is this boy Quint, who is very easygoing, very chill. So one day she blacks out and gets a concussion and wakes up with karma power, basically, where she'll think something and she'll like see someone like do something bad and she'll think something about them, and then something bad will happen to them. And similarly, if she sees someone doing something good and something, she can make something good happen to them. And so she uses that power, and she wants to use it on Quint, but every time she does it, it backfires on him. So it's kind of her opening her eyes to him a little bit more as they are kind of forced into this like internship together, and them learning more about each other, maybe falling in love, we don't know. But it was just really cute. I really liked it. I think it was fun and enjoyable. It was like pretty cliche, very cheesy, but like it's what I wanted at the time, so it was okay. And I think in the end it did have good messages about what we value and how we judge people so quickly. It was an arc, so it's coming out in November, and I think this is Marissa Meyer's first foray into like contemporary. So I think she did a really good job. I really like her. I love the Lunar Chronicles especially. So
yeah, I read the Lunar Chronicles, but I haven't read this one yet. I let Courtney read it first. We're sharing arcs now. So I'm glad to hear that she liked it. Well, hopefully I will get to it before November. The next book I read was You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. I read this as an audiobook from my library, and especially with COVID right now, you know, a lot of libraries have e-libraries, so I really recommend that you check them out. Like, you could get ebooks or e-audiobooks. You don't have to think about like when you have to return them, you don't have to worry about any of the safety things. So it's a really great resource and used from your library, so it's free and save some money. But yeah, so this book is about a girl named Liz, and she goes to the school where prom is like the biggest thing ever. She's trying to get a scholarship to go to her dream school, and if you win prom king or queen, you can get a $10,000 scholarship for school. So she like normally is just like this person who is very studious. She's the top of her class. She is really involved with, you know, doing other things like music. Well, she wants to go to school to become a doctor and also go to this school because it has a good music program. She applied to get a scholarship to the school, but it didn't go through, so that's why she decided to go for prom. And she is, you know, more of this quiet person who is not very seen, and that's kind of one thing that she overcomes throughout the book is, you know, finding her voice and being herself and putting herself out there, because that's something that she's afraid of doing at the beginning, at least. She meets this girl named Mac, and she's a new girl. She also signed up to do prom for the fun of it, and so it's a little bit about their relationship together, and it's super cute. I love it. And it's about her and her friends. She goes to this school where it's a lot of like rich white kids, and she is black. There's a little bit of kind of things to go through with that, and getting her friends to kind of understand what her perspective is, and then also being responsible with her family. And I think that's what I really liked about this book is the main character Liz, is just because I feel like she is someone that a lot of people will relate to, just like someone in a book who is pretty like ordinary, you know, does well in school, tries hard, has friends, has, you know, family, finds those things to be like really important in her life. I think one of the things, the interesting things like that I was a little hesitant about at the beginning is it's about prom. And at my school, prom wasn't a big thing. Was prom a big thing at your school?
No, it wasn't a big thing.
So it wasn't like a big thing. And I feel like, you know, when you watch movies and TVs, prom gets to become this giant thing. So I was like, a book around, like revolving around prom. But I think it's just like kind of the things where you have to go with it. And I think it was really a fun and interesting read.
My next read was Dark and Deepest Red by McLemore, and so this is kind of a dual perspective book because there's one setting in the 1500s and one setting in modern day. And so in the 1500s it follows this girl Lavinia, and she and her aunt are kind of witches a little bit, having some magical abilities and stuff, and it takes place during this time where that's not okay. And it deals with them struggling to live in this town and try to not be found out, and also this fever that takes over a bunch of women in the town. And so it is really interesting commentary on women in that time. And then the modern day perspective is a young girl, Rosella, and Emile, and both of them have history from the people in the 1500s, and it's them with these cursed red shoes. And so it's actually based on a fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen, and it was just so good. I love magical realism so much, and so I always love Anna Marie McLemore's books because they just do such a good job at just like gorgeous descriptions. I especially love the dual perspectives. It bounces back and forth each chapter, which I adored. And I really love the queer representation. For most of the books that I've read of Anna Marie McLemore writes, they have a trans character, and they tend to have other queer characters as well. And so I really love that gets incorporated so beautifully. And I think queerness just blends itself so well to magical realism. I think it just had really beautiful commentary on kind of women, especially in the 1500s, as well as in modern day, as well as kind of concepts of like taking what you fear and like reining it in and like controlling it and having it not control you anymore, which was really cool. Her author note at the end was gorgeous. They just talked so beautifully about kind of changing a stereotypical white fairy tale and making it with people of color and queer people, and it was just so beautiful.
I think I need to read this book.
It was just so good. I love their writing.
It's been so long since I've been like super in the book community, so I'm not always up to date on what new books are coming out or even have come out in like the last couple of years. The next book I read was Super Fake Love Song by David Yoon. So this is an arc. It's coming out in November, and I finished it this morning. Yeah. So it's about this guy named Sunny. He's Korean American. Their family friend moves like to town to do a job, and they have a daughter who's a teenager around his age, and so they want Sunny to like introduce her to school and stuff. And so when he first meets this girl, her name is Cirrus, and he brings her into his brother's room because like she sees his brother's room and he's like, oh, this is super cool. And then he's like, oh, this is totally my room. And his older brother was like a rocker and had like a band and all that stuff. It was like living in LA, Hollywood, trying to make it with his band. And so he takes on this persona as a rock star because he wants to impress this girl who she's originally from London. She's also Korean. But she like moves around the world and has like friends all over the world. It just becomes this giant thing. He like brings his friends in. Normally he's this guy who likes making like LARP stuff.
LARPing.
So
yeah.
like making different
cosplay
like things, and he and his friends have a YouTube channel where they make different cosplay things. And so he drags his friends into it, and then they like make a band, and they turn out to not be like terrible, even though they've never like played instruments before. So, and as he starts to do this, he starts to become more like popular at school, or he becomes more confident in himself and like the way he carries himself. And I think that was what I really enjoyed about this book, was just seeing his character arc and seeing how he starts to put himself out there. And even though it's under this like false pretense that he's in a band, it was a lot of fun in that respects. And my favorite things was just like seeing his relationship with his friends and just how much they have each other's backs, and how like his two friends who he does the LARPing stuff with, they love him so much that they would join this fake band so he can get the girl. And I also just liked seeing his relationship with his older brother too. I think those are my favorite parts of it. The romance part was like, it felt a bit insta-lovey, and I don't really mind insta-love as long as that there's like background and you can see a genuine relationship building. But I feel like I didn't really have a good sense of Cirrus's character to really see them together, at least like at the beginning. I also read Frankly in Love by David Yoon, and I would say like, in comparison to Frankly in Love, this book doesn't the plot doesn't center so much around race and culture, whereas Frankly in Love did. Him being a Korean American is still just like important part because it's part of your identity, it's part of your existence, your everyday life, even if it's not like the central part of the story. So I really liked that. And another thing, so David Yoon's writing. One thing that kind of threw me off at the beginning was just like, I think like when I think about it, I guess it's part of it could be just Sunny's character, because at the beginning I would say he's kind of a prejudiced person. Like he just, I mean, he considers himself to be more of like a loser and a nerd, and like the way that his classmates kind of like ignore him or like think that he's weird. But then part of it is also like the way he treats other people kind of threw me off, because like his teachers, like he wouldn't call them by this like their names. He would just like have really rude nicknames and stuff for that, and I was like, okay. And just like the way he thought of his other classmates, like they were all very like cliche high school you would see on TV, which we know isn't always the truth, kind of a thing. And just like the way it was written kind of threw me off. But I think it's also, you know, part of Sunny's character when I think about it. Like maybe it's, you know, part of his growth, and it did get better. Although we still got these really like long metaphors that sometimes do not really relate and make sense. Like paragraph of metaphors, and I'm like, okay. All in all, I did enjoy the book. Like it's a pretty quick read. I read it almost all in one night. So it comes out in November. If you're interested, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I read Frankly in Love, and I feel like I have similar thoughts about it. That it was like solid, and I liked the race conversation, but the romance, I was like,
yeah,
I'd pass on that one.
There's this friend in this book, and I'm like, you know, it would have been cute if they had
better if those two
got together. Yeah.
Rip.
And I feel like eventually we do get to know Sears a bit more, and I think part of it is also because when they initially meet, all Sunny knows about this girl is that she lives all over the world.
Okay.
And she has friends all over the world. So I think part of it is just like, maybe it's just like him not taking it, like giving her a chance and like getting to actually know her, and just like creating this persona in his mind, and that's kind of how he sees the world. But I think, you know, as they get to know each other, we get to see more. But at the beginning, it was very...
That sounds a little like Manic Pixie Dream Girl. That concept of like him putting her on a pedestal and like thinking she's like so cool because she's traveled the world.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a lowly cosplayer. I feel like that could be fun. Just from what I remember from Frankly in Love, I feel like that's what he could.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened in Frankly in Love too.
Yeah.
Okay, so Courtney, you want to tell us about the next book you read?
Yeah, so the last book I read is A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. Also gorgeous cover, beautiful. So I read this as an audiobook from my library, and it follows two sisters. So we have Tavia, who is an actual siren, like a mermaid, and she has to hide this from herself. In the society they live in, it's like modern day, but it's like sirens exist and they are persecuted, and all sirens are black women, but not all black women are sirens. And then she has her sister, who's technically not biological, but she's adopted, and her name is Effie, and she plays a siren at a Renaissance fair. I really liked this. So it is about both of them kind of navigating the world. There's a lot of magical realism. My favorite parts of it was the way that it brought in like the Black Lives Matter movement, and specifically black women in the Black Lives Matter movement, because it talks so much about the persecution of sirens, the persecution of black women. And since they're both in high school, it has very good conversations about like when she hangs out with her white friends, like the things that they say and how like she calls them out on it. I loved that dynamic and like speaking up and that sort of thing. And then also these elements of like mermaids and magic, and a lot of it with like Effie, the person who's in the Renaissance fair, is kind of learning more about her past and her history, because there's like this whole mystery about like who her father is, who her mother is, and that sort of thing.
So these mermaids, when they're on land, they like...
Yeah, so it's like, she doesn't have, they never really have the tail. It's more the way that they formulate it is she has like a siren call, and she can like persuade people to do things. And so that's one of the things they talk about, is that when they find out you're a siren, a lot of them will make you, like the police or like the government will make you wear a collar to silence you. And so then there's like an extended metaphor as well of like how we silence Black women in our society. There is like a little bit of romance, but it is mainly like a sister story, and it's just so beautiful. I love stories centering family. I love stories centering sisters, and I just thought it was really well done and really powerful. It had a lot of good social commentary about, especially in like high school, and I think it's really relevant right now.
So that's it for the books that we wanted to share in this video. Thank you so much for watching. We had a lot of fun talking books with each other. Since we always do this, we text about books, and that's how we met. So it's great that we could do a nice fun collab. You should definitely check out Courtney's channel. It's Journal with Court.
Yeah.
She does vlogs and crafting. It's super fun. And hopefully we can do this again sometime, because I really enjoyed this. So we'll see you next time. Bye.